What's up, everybody? I'm James. Welcome to Mechanical Mayhem, and welcome back to the Mechwarrior 5 Clan story-driven campaign playthrough, where you watch all the cutscenes, hear all the dialogue, discuss the story and stuff related to the missions at hand, utilizing stock mechs only, including the hero mechs in that roster, if you will. Welcome to part 24. This is the 24th part of the series. Technically, that makes it the 25th mission because part 1 was both Huntress Arc missions. Those two tutorial missions, your tutorial mission proper and your trial position. So that's two missions there, and then everything else is one mission per video, making this the 25th mission in the campaign. And this does mark the end of an act, as I like to look at it. So this will be a longer one, as you could tell. I'll be doing some follow-up thoughts once all the cutscenes and stuff are over at the end. So we are pressing our attacks on Courchevel, trying to hunt down the ISF. So strap in and prepare for drop. Here we go. Mountain Maze.
Cobalt, as you know, we believe that the ISF has been coordinating the Courchevel militia's resistance to our occupation. After our last operation, we now believe that we have a lead to find the ISF operatives and the militia's leadership. Mechwarrior Liam?
Thank you, Star Colonel. Using data extracted from key mechs in our last engagement, we believe that the ISF has taken up residence here in the northern Lamont Mountains. Courchevel's climate produces near perpetual salt storms close to its polar caps, normally making human habitation impossible past a certain longitude. During the Star League, a series of climate control towers were installed to regulate the severity of these storms in the north to give mining conglomerates access to the North's natural resources.
That was in the time of the Star League. During the Succession Wars, the towers were destroyed in raids by House Steiner. Those territories are uninhabitable today.
Which is exactly what they wanted us to think. I backtracked the ISF's encrypted messages to this location. Someone is out there, and they have been broadcasting messages around the system.
That does not seem to be a lot to go on.
Unfortunately, this is the best lead we have. Mechwarrior Liam will investigate this signal and see what we can find. Cobalt Star, you will act as his escort. This will be a recon and force operation. Mechwarrior Liam will be granted special operational control on my authority. You will follow his lead and help him find these cowardly freebirds once and for all.
Understood, Star Colonel.
All right. Mechwarrior Liam's taking operational control of this mission. This is an interesting mission. This is going to be a long video, as you've probably seen. There's some cutscene stuff, and I want to do some thoughts as well before moving on to the next act. This is kind of the act concluder, if you will. Now, what I like about this is the imagination, you could say. You know, the salt storms, really, like that's not something I would have thought of. That's pretty cool. And you know, the idea of like climate control mechanisms, or at least taming mechanisms that are no longer operational, and just the idea that the ISF would use something like this. It's just a really cool setup of a mission. Gotta say though, based on the enemies we've been facing, to only put Liam in a Stormcrow, granted it is a durable mech, seems like not the best idea personally, but hey, clanners are a different breed. So what we have is an escort in force. They call it a recon in force, which it is, but it's really an escort in force. Now I'm in a Warhawk. We have another Warhawk. For Mia, she's actually using the hero configuration of the Warhawk. So, as such, I have Timberwolf, and we have a Gargoyle as well, right? So, that's pretty cool. There's two Timberwolves, to be specific, a Gargoyle and two Warhawks. The Timberwolf and the Gargoyle are going to be faster. So, what I try to do in this mission is to have them range ahead by telling my star to go defend a location. This breaks them out of moving in formation and will have them get to the location when there's nothing to fight, as fast as possible, fighting stuff along the way. And if they did have something to fight, they won't turn and put their back to the enemy, but they'll walk backwards and turn that way. So that's why I wanted to do that, because while Liam will not just leave you hanging, he will kind of wait for you to get within a certain range. He's always going to outpace. So having things that can keep pace a little better and get some tonnage out in front is what I'm looking to do. So visibility is definitely reduced in this situation. We are basically in a salt storm, which is not something I ever thought I would have to say. And it's pretty interesting. So as we can see in scan mode, the buoys do light up. So we are going to kind of utilize that and go from buoy to buoy. Now, this is an interesting mission. I think it's a case of endurance a bit. There will be ammo crates, but at the same time, I call it a case of endurance a bit because you will not have any ability to repair, right? Not that you do in a lot of missions. In fact, repairing is a bit of a rarer thing, especially when it comes to your entire star, right? You typically get to repair a couple of mechs at best. So in this case, there'll be none of that because, well, we're in this mountain maze, which has the unique kind of concept of ensuring that not only do you protect Liam, but you can suffer 0 casualties. So you're going to have to get through this with nobody ejecting. Given the circumstances, it makes sense. Even if they ejected here, they would quickly succumb to the storm. So makes it a bit more high stakes, even though, depending upon if you're doing custom builds or your difficulty level, the stakes may not feel that high in actuality in terms of fighting the enemy. We're going to get a mix of forces, but that's to be expected at this point. The ISF is leading, more or less, the forces on Courchevel against us. Not with the attempts to free Courchevel. I'm pretty sure the ISF realized that's not happening, but to try and bleed us a bit and to get our equipment. Now, we do know that the Draconis Combine now has our tech because of Dieter Osis's screw-up in regards to Walcott, right? So, as a result, the tech is in their hands, but of course they're going to want more. And as such, we definitely want to limit that. It doesn't mean that they're suddenly going to be able to reverse engineer and then tomorrow is going to be a bunch of stuff that's going to have closer to near peer technology. And that's not the case. But of course we don't want them to have our tech at all. So that is what the ISF is doing on Courchevel. They're not really thinking they can take the planet back. At least I hope they don't think that, because it's not happening, right? So this mission is I think a pretty good showcase of two things: the level of espionage and intelligence operations that the Inner Sphere is accustomed to doing and capable of doing, and the clan's newness to this, while also the capability that they could have if it wasn't viewed in such a particular way, right? It's viewed disgraceful, dishonorable. So the Clan Watch, which is newly formed-ish, is not really going to be the same caliber or thinking of it in the same way. And that's a big thing, I think, with espionage, if you will, and intelligence gathering and intelligence operations like this, where you're doing some clandestine things and whatnot, is that there's a certain mindset and way of thinking about it that the clans are just not going to be well suited towards, at least for the most part, right? I'm making general assumptions here. But it doesn't mean they don't have the ability to counter it. So here we start seeing them cranking up the heat a bit in terms of tonnage of mechs being dropped, the amount of mechs coming out, and what's it called? Ground assets, vehicle support. We're going to see a lot of jump jet equipped stuff, which is nice. The reason it's nice is because typically jump jet equipped things are not going to be as potentially armored up or not have potentially as much firepower at their disposal theoretically, right? Because they need to make room for jump jets to get their mechs to come down. Now, they're not all going to be equipped this way, right? I'm sure the mountain has plenty of, nooks and crannies and crevice style stuff to allow for mechs to be dropped off early and lay in wait. But we are going to see a higher amount of stuff with jump jets, so either we'll be able to pick them apart a bit easier with our ground-based force as it is, or they won't be able to hit as hard necessarily because tonnage needs to be allocated to those jump jets. In any case, the ground vehicles also aren't going to be, on the whole, the most heavily kitted out ground vehicles out there. So, again, I am having my star kind of range ahead. It's a bit of a risky move, what I'm doing, you could say, because Liam will more or less hold back until you get within a certain range of them, and it's you or your star. That's why he's continuing to move forward, because the star is there with him. So, given that you don't necessarily face the biggest of threats as you progress from buoy to buoy, having a gargoyle and 2 Timberwolves ranging ahead with, as kind of the sole, there I go again, hitting the pause by accident, as the sole defenders for Liam as we kind of close ranks, the 2 Warhawks here, is not going to be the worst thing. But if you are worried, Liam should, and I say should because I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but Liam should hold back a little bit until you get close enough yourself, if you're leading the charge, as it were. So just keep that in mind if you are wondering what's going down. This is a test of endurance. Mechs are going to be coming at us from different angles. We're going to be getting hit in kind of different wave style situations. And of course, we have to kind of range to a certain degree and conserve ammunition if you're very ammo dependent. I wouldn't say the star is that ammo dependent, but we do have some pretty decent punch coming from ammunition, particularly in the case of Mia and that hero Warhawk. So I'm going to go get an ammo crate just to be sure, to kind of make things a bit better. And then I'm going to press the attack on these forces coming after us. So in terms of the lore of stuff, Cobalt Star is not something that's in the lore. What I mean by that is, if you are looking at the materials that were published back when this clan stuff first came out in the 90s, and you are well versed in taking apparently laser hits to the cockpit, but if you're well versed in that stuff, Cobalt Star isn't going to be necessarily spoken about, right? The 362nd, yes, not Cobalt Star specifically. So what I like about this mission in particular is that we are seeing a fleshing out that isn't just verbatim lore that they are just making more of, right? As you can see here, Liam is ranging kind of far ahead, but at the same time, I do know that that's more or less, I want to say a safety area, but that's not going to be an area that we necessarily have to worry about enemies coming to get him, and this is where he's going to wait until we catch up to that nav point. So what I'm getting at is, this mission, alongside some other stuff, fleshes out the Courchevel campaign to take it, without necessarily stepping on any toes in terms of the lore. It does let it kind of have some free range, if you will, to really expand it a bit and let Cobalt Star's kind of story and capabilities and I don't want to say fame, but just roster or codex grow, right? Because here we are with something that we are able to add in that doesn't really take away from the actual story of taking Courchevel at all. So this was a weird case where this cataphract just kind of glitched, or we destroyed all of its weapons, but it didn't eject. It was very odd, because typically once all the weapons are destroyed on a mech, the AI will eject. But I guess considering the situation here, they don't, although a Phoenix Hawk did earlier, so I'm not so certain what's going down. In any case, it is pretty clear to everybody involved that the ISF definitely is here. The militia wouldn't have forces out in such an extreme situation, and this is far more defense, you could say, then you would just have a raid in some random location that's inhospitable. So kudos to the ISF of the Draconis Combine for doing such a crazy tactic, because it is kind of a clever one for sure. So this is actually some of the most damage I've had, Liam, in regards to getting through this. Not truly, but insofar as actually having armor gone through in a portion of his mech. Typically, he'll be banged up, but I've never actually had him be down the structure or any particular component, so that was different. But we'll be pretty good, because for the most part, when it's bigger wave stuff, I don't really feel like Liam gets hit that much. He's kind of target priority. You do want to protect him, you want your star around him, but I don't know. I just feel like for the most part, it's one of those situations where, especially for his tonnage of mech, he's kind of that VIP status, so he's got some, I think, innate extra safety on him. That way, a mech of that weight class isn't just insta-annihilated by some of the stuff that comes down to attack. If that makes any sense. We've seen stuff like this with Star Colonel Wimmer and Sakan Weaver and stuff like that in prior missions, so I think we're facing a similar situation here, which is good, right? It errs on the side of caution, because, let's face it, AI can be a bit janky with things. So, in this case, this is a pretty good kind of a two-pronged attack on us. They have a Crusader and then they have a Shadowhawk. So I told my star to go get the Crusader. I just need them to basically run interference and hurt it, which they're doing in spades, right? For sure. And I was taking care of the Shadowhawk. So, in this mission, you know, the mission smells of something's up, right? From the get-go. Whenever you get your star broken down like this and somebody has a replacement for the mission, something smells amiss, right? I think that's just us as gamers being kind of used to that type of stuff. So I was on guard and kind of on edge, you could say, about this mission when I first played it, because I'm like, something's not right here. Which I think is not necessarily a bad thing and plays into the whole narrative of this mission. Right here we got Mia saying, like, you know, that's crazy, Liam, don't go manually, because it destroyed the buoy. So he's going to get out of his mech to try and chase things down, and quite frankly, that smells, right? That smells real bad. So we're actually going to get, and I don't really recall, this happens very few times in the campaign, but we are getting a mid-mission cutscene, which doesn't typically happen. We first have to defend and secure the area for it to progress, but I want to bring it up now. And what we're seeing here is a industrial mech. That's the thing powered down that just got, you know, more or less taken out because it was just terrain feature. It's just really cool to see industrial mechs. You don't typically see that. So now we see that they're stepping up some of the vehicle support. We're seeing the amount of stuff coming at us is getting a bit more picked up. The tonnage is lower, but we just faced a Crusader and a Shadowhawk. Now we got a Javelin. We had a Jenner, a Centurion. I think there's a Dragon maybe, or we took out the Dragon already. I'm getting beamed in the cockpit, like just so much. It's kind of, I don't know what was going on there, but here's a Flea. So now we're just really getting things that are, we took out that Flea fast.
Accessing the console now.
Standing by for coordinates.
Come on. Got it. No!
Talk to me. Give me a sit rep.
It's a trap. They have
have this place pre-sighted for artillery.
Liam, get out of there now!
Jaden,
Mia? Run.
Well, that's definitely not good, right? Took out that flea real quick. Little cutscene there, mid-mission. And now we got artillery raining down on us, and we gotta scan Liam's mech. We don't have to, it's a secondary thing or an optional thing, but you're right there, you might as well scan it. So now we have more artillery. I will say a couple of things with this. There is a neural helmet setup that would link with a suit to more or less be life support. So in this type of situation, I would have definitely requisitioned one if I was in, that boat, but clearly that didn't happen. Don't take off your helmet, just wipe it clean. I mean, I don't know how much extra protection it would give. As was stated, it can't really save him out there, but I would have taken that over just having my raw face exposed to a salt storm. And this is also the most meta ambush, tactic-wise thing of the Inner Sphere. And that's a Highlander, by the way, so they're pulling no punches. That's an assault mech. Once I saw that, typically I have them take out, chew up Orions, but once I saw that there was a Highlander here, I said, okay, you guys focus on the Highlander. I'll deal with the Orion. But the fact that they're here, is a good tactical idea. And I suppose they had a setup expecting that. But it just felt, it's definitely particularly almost reading ahead in the script as if we're going to know what's going to happen, because we are here following this daisy chain of buoys to try and find a location, while the ISF is also expecting a force to come into this uninhabitable area to daisy chain the buoys to find their location. So they pre-sighted a specific buoy, so we've drawn in enough, I guess, into the kill zone for them to spring this artillery trap if somebody was crazy enough to try and manually interface with the buoy. Now, I don't know if that's what triggered the artillery hits or not. I assume they had some spotters somewhere to trigger it anyway, but it's that's the most convoluted spy versus spy stuff that we've seen in this game. But I'll allow it for the sake of plot, and it works out. But yeah, so we in essence just lost Liam. When I first played this mission, and that's a big tank, by the way, that you can destroy by walking on it, which I did accidentally there. But when I first played this mission, I knew something was up when Liam was no longer in the star. I figured either this is our breakaway from Liam, as was said in the mission, he was thinking of going to the Watch, and then this happened. Oh, okay, that's what we're doing. We're killing Liam. Now, to be fair, is it plausible that Liam could have gotten his helmet and it somehow helped him a little bit, and he could have gotten inside the buoy? Maybe there's an access hatch to get inside it to do something and kind of hold out there and eventually get picked up by ISF as a prisoner? Maybe. But until we see Liam in some type of content, he's gone. Now, what I'm doing here is very foolish. I took an artillery hit or two, and that's because this catapult you do not have to destroy. It's there specifically to harass you and basically make you do this so you stand in the artillery section some more. But I got fixated and I decided, no, we're taking this thing out. So, if you're really worried about the artillery, if you are more banged up, just make it past this catapult. It's more or less there purely to delay. But I was being foolish and I decided, let's just take it out. So that's what we're doing. In any case, definitely don't need to do that. But had to show him who's boss, right? That's what you gotta do. So Ezra took a hit. Again, that's lore-wise stuff. It's not due to anything in the game. So we have an injured Mechwarrior, we have a down Mechwarrior, presumed KIA. We have this artillery barrage, and we've had Demolisher tanks, which are really tanky tanks, pretty nasty tanks. We've had a Highlander, an Orion, we've had a catapult raining stuff down on us, and we've had other mechs to deal with along the way just to get here. And now we are trying to get out of this predicament. So we finally make contact with Starkon Wimmer, and we have a Hunchback. Now, we have a Hunchback, we have a Partisan tank, I think, or two of them, I forget. The Partisans are no joke either. They got a lot of autocannon fire that they can really chew you up with. So, at this juncture, we have a Mauler, which is also very dangerous. I would recommend having your star focus on the Mauler and you pick out the Hunchback, or have them hit the Hunchback for a couple of salvos and then focus on the Mauler, and you focus on the rest of the time on the Hunchback. Whatever the case is, I've been taking a lot of cockpit hits. It's kind of crazy in this mission. But we just need to down these targets because there's a lot of firepower potentially to chew you up, especially because your mechs are going to be in no real great condition at this point, depending upon difficulty level, builds, and whatever else. So this is where my kind of tried and true method of just mauling things, no pun intended with the mauler there, but basically crippling mechs like that Hunchback is basically done for, right? There's not much going on here. So it's done. But the point is that let's say they crippled that Mauler by like right there. If I felt the Hunchback was a bigger threat, I would have them switch to the Hunchback because this Mauler was made into half a mech more or less. So that is the final hurdle though. Once you do that, you're basically home free to get out of here. So a real shame to lose Liam. He was a cool character. I like the build up of progression for him, and as we can see, pretty dire straits at this point. Mech's pretty banged up, out of ammunition from my LRMs, and all in all, we still took it to him, right? We fought off a lot of weight, but clearly the ISF is in this location, but it's just too hot to deal with, so we gotta get out of there. I like this mission though, because our star has been pretty flawless. Even though we executed well in this dire circumstance, we took some loss, right? As expected in an invasion like this. So pretty banged up, but we survived, and we won't have Alexander anymore after that for moving forward for the next missions and so on.
Star Commander, Ezra is hurt. Jade and Liam is still out there.
How is he?
As far as I can tell, he has a fractured arm and multiple broken ribs. Maybe even a punctured lung.
Go and flag a med tech down.
Hi, Shiga.
Jaden,
Hold on. Med techs are on their way.
don't worry about me. Save Liam.
What happened?
Save your energy, Mechwarrior.
It was a trap, Star Colonel. The Caretans had artillery pre-sighted on that buoy.
He's still out there. We need to go back out and get
Ned,
him.
it was always a long shot for Liam to root these snakes out. But they have proven to be much craftier than Valasic's pirates. With Liam gone, hunting down the ISF is a fool's errand, and it would waste too much material.
No. How can you?
Drop it, Mechwarrior. My decision has been made.
Neg! Liam is still out there and he needs us! I will not let you abandon him! I challenge you to Circle of Equals.
She has no standing to challenge me. What say you, Star Commander?
Mia is right. Liam could still be alive. And he is our best chance at tracking those Surats down. I challenge. Mia may stand in as my proxy.
So be it.
heartless bitch!
You think yourself the only one to lose someone? That his life is more important than anyone else? Grow up, girl. You are a clan warrior. And if you show yourself to be anything less, I will dispose of you myself. Goes for you too. You just lost one Mechwarrior to an ambush when we were trying to catch them unaware! And charging in blind while they are on alert will only result in more unnecessary losses. If you are too foolish to see the logic in that, you do not deserve your command. Clean up this mess and get back to work.
She makes good points, honestly.
Yeah.
Sacrificed her life to land a direct hit to the bridge of Clan Wolf's flagship, the Dire Wolf. Among the listed fatalities was our Ilkon, Leo Showers, who was stationed aboard the vessel. The Council has thus ordered for all Blood-Name warriors to be recalled to Stranamekti, to appoint a new Ilkon to lead our invasion. As for all other warriors, you are to stand fast, and will be tasked with securing all that we have laid claim to within the occupation zone. Our trip home will be long. in only 1 year, we will return. And I promise you, when we do, we will finish the fight that Leo Shower started. Sinking our claws deep into the very heart of the great houses.
Those eyes on that mech. That's the Beta Galaxy stuff.
Let's talk about it.
How did he do this time?
Better. Others still shot him as freeborn. Even though Wimmer sanctioned his adoption before departure, I fear they will never truly accept him.
Jaguar warriors have always been prideful, even with other trueborns. Nothing new.
But is it detrimental? Especially when she is one of the ones piling it on.
I will talk to her.
You'll have to wait. I decoded a message.
You did what now?
Started taking it up after Liam.
I miss him too. What have you learned?
He's here. Just touched down from Idlewind.
Who is here?
Perez.
You need to tell her.
Something tells me she already knows.
Star Commander, gather your star and report to Mission Central. There is work to be done.
Half. Star Colonel.
Alright, that was a lot of cutscene. But here we are. And this starts the next act. Yes, we're still in Courchevel. So like I said, Courchevel is a long one. Everything that's been going on is in the lore. Nothing was added outside of course, with Liam and everything. But the direwolf flagship of Clan Wolf was hit. And we get Yuichi. Yes, Yuichi was given basically adoption into the clan as a warrior for our star. Before Wimmer left, she sanctioned the adoption. So we have a full star yet again, and it's cool to see Yuichi. Yuichi's pretty stacked, right? I will be saving up for his maximum evasion, because he doesn't have max evasion yet. But he's doing pretty good, so saving up really isn't going to be a big deal. In any case, I will be talking past the actual video, so there'll just be a still image clip at the end there. But I gotta say, I like those set of cutscenes. Mia has some neural implants and a new hairdo, right? When I first played the game, I was like, it didn't click right away that was Mia. I'm like, who is that? And then after a delay, I was like, oh, my brain caught up. I got it now. Anyways, with that said, Star Colonel Wimmer, that was a real way to say Star Colonel Wimmer. I think I combined Colonel and Wimmer. But Star Colonel Wimmer makes a lot of really good points after that mission, right? We were trying to catch them unaware, and we were caught in an ambush, right? They're on alert. Going back out there it's only going to cost more material and potentially other mech warriors to find Liam, and that's by some miracle if he's still even alive, which chances are he isn't unless he was captured, right? So it's very much a long shot in a military operation like that for the clans to find somebody in that predicament after being pre-sighted in for artillery. So now you have the artillery still pre-sighted in that location that you are going to need to deal with. And they're on high alert. Yeah, we took them down, but our mechs are battered. We either have to jump in new mechs, go out there with support. It definitely didn't make sense. So I really like that, to be honest with you, because it's very fitting. It makes sense. Why would Wimmer want to do all that for the longest of shots? Is it heartless? I wouldn't say it's heartless. It's probably a little cold, but she makes a good point. You know, that his life is worth so much more than anyone else's, worth more than yours. Loss is going to happen in an invasion like this. So I like that because it's this mission that we just did is a nice kind of almost coming of age thing for the Star. It's unfortunate because you lost Liam. I like Liam as a character, but it's kind of a grow up moment, right? Like, welcome to an invasion. If you thought you were going to get out unscathed, you're mistaken. So we performed well under the circumstances. We just had to get out of there, and we took a loss, and we took injury, and our mechs are battered, and it's kind of like welcome to the thick of it, right? This is what it's about. So I did like that. Circle of Equals we got to see, pretty cool. I really like the Direwolf, the flagship cutscene. Really well put together cutscene. When I saw that cutscene, because we saw a bunch of mechs, drop ships, the bombers and other vessels out there, that's when I had that moment of like, if they wanted to do an animation, like a series of shorts, episodes in this engine and everything, I'd totally watch it because I really digged that cutscene a lot. Having that bomber sacrifice itself to take out the bridge on the Direwolf flagship was in the lore. Having the invasion go on pause for basically a year as Blood-Name warriors went back to clan space to elect a new Ilkhan is in the lore. Nothing was added for that. A weird move. In fact, it had to be basically kind of voted on to do that, more or less. It did. Some clans, I believe even Smoke Jaguar, didn't really want to. They were like, no, we got to press this. They need to be punished basically for this. But no, clan dogma, right, dictates they do that. So they did. Perez was left back because Perez is a pariah now after Edo. So he's one of the few Blood-Name warriors left in the whole Smoke Jaguar corridor. Anyways, really cool cutscene there. And we got to see time pass, right? We're on Courchevel. Star Colonel Perez is now here with Demi Presenter, and our Star is recovering, right? It's their first real loss. They've seen combat and taken injury and hits and everything else, but this is their first actual loss, so the Star is recovering from that. And it's a turning point for the Star and a turning point for the campaign, because now we're in the end game, really. It's this act of Courchevel and one more act. So we are firmly rooted in assault mech territory, more or less, right? We have 2 more to unlock, and then we have all the mechs we could play with. And all in all, really digging the campaign. When I first went through it up to this point, I was like, wow, we're making moves. We're actually going through this lore. But keep in mind, we did Turtle Bay and we did Courchevel, and we're still on Courchevel. There is no planets being taken at this time, but up to this point, we are in the high 20s in terms of planets actually taken, with Walcott being the only one that did not pan out, right? So when you consider stats are going to be very similar, with some clans having 0 losses to this point, the Ionosphere is pretty battered. So this is definitely a welcome reprieve for them. But as we see, duty never ends, right? So what we're about to experience on Courchevel here is, again, also in the lore. This wasn't made up. So it's cool that we have things being fleshed out, and we get to flesh out Cobalt Star a little bit and supplant them into the lore a bit more, and see exactly what went down and what's otherwise kind of not as much written about. There's some things that have more descriptors than others and all that jazz. Anyways, I've been rambling on long enough. This is a long video. This was a long mission, not mission, but because of all the cutscenes and stuff, it turns into be a long setup. But I wanted to present it just like it was, like I've been doing with missions thus far. So really dig it. We tend to have these bigger cinematic breaks, if you will, in between major acts. Think about Santander to Turtle Bay, and then Turtle Bay to Courchevel, right? So that's that. When we return, we'll still be in Courchevel, but we'll be doing not so much taking out ISF or militia, but we'll be doing some more maintenance, if you will, upkeep work, and we'll see where that leads us. In any case, thanks so much for tuning in and stopping by. Hit that subscribe button if you'd like, and until next time, take care.